Hello, everybody. Welcome to tonight's show. This is the Daytripper Photo Show, episode number 160. Big landmark episode tonight. 160 shows.
It's awesome.
Woo, pretty cool. Woo, yay. Little mini party.
Party horn.
So, welcome to the show. This is our Banter Show. We've done 3 types of shows now. We're doing the photo review show, which we've done previously. We're doing a tips and techniques show, which we just did, which was a lot of fun. And this is the Banter Show. So tonight we're talking about a bunch of random stuff. We're talking about products that are coming out. We're talking about current events in the world that relate to photography. We'll probably squirrel a little bit. But that's what the show's all about. And hopefully we'll finish in an hour and everybody will be happy. Before we get too into it, before I say introduce our guests, our hosts, and we move into the next part of our show, I just want to send a quick belated happy birthday to Joe Leduc. Joseph Leduc has helped us out on a lot of trips, and it's scary to think how many people that guy's influenced. Eh?
Yeah.
Scary is probably the right word.
I don't know what they scare. It's awesome.
It is extremely awesome. It was just a lot of he's done a lot of things for a lot of people, and to Joe Leduc, thank you so much for helping out as much as you have, and happy birthday to you. I didn't post it to Facebook or Google Plus like everybody does because I knew I'd talk about it here on the show, and Joe deserves more of a face-to-face if this is face-to-face. Hopefully he's watching. All right, so and now let's get to you guys. Phil, welcome
Hi
back.
there.
I can see you've really progressed quite well on your unpacking and your
I've
boxes.
tirelessly been unpacking. I have a little bit of time this weekend, so I'm planning on trying to move things around.
That Henry's bag in the back moved over almost an entire inch.
Yeah. Oh, it's shoved a little bit. I don't know if this bag was here last week, but it's here now. But everything's hopefully going to be organized, and I'm going to start on the wall of awesome. Hopefully, if I can get everything to fit in here right. So hopefully next Wednesday we'll have a slightly different behind me.
We're going to start making bets on what we think might be in your wall of awesome.
Sounds good. And it's going to be a really weird wall of awesome because it occurs to me that because my chair, the air cushion's gone, my wall of awesome is going to be about 3 feet off the ground. We'll see how that goes.
Unlike Gabriel's wall of awesome, which is the perfect height because you're sitting on a big ball.
Big bouncy ball.
So welcome to the show, Gabriel.
Oh, thank you. Sorry,
Hi.
I thought you were still talking to Phil.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm all yours now.
Aw,
Anything massively awesome happened to you this week?
Oh my God, it's been such a crazy week. There probably has been. I just, it probably just been so busy. It seems like it was last month. New gear, new customers, new clients, new experiences. Some top secret stuff in the work that may or may not include Canon Canada. It doesn't.
Oh.
I just do that to, make it seem more mysterious.
I got it.
Yeah, just plugging away, doing a little bit more photography than normal, which I'm happy about, and
Cool.
trying to do even more.
And we're going to talk about one of those new products that you've acquired at some point tonight.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or not, we'll find out. But yeah,
You will
interesting
find
stuff.
out. That is called a teaser.
Just a bit of a teaser. Okay, cool. So we've got some viewers watching, and we've got some people who've already said hello. Jerry Kelly asks, what is the furry animal on our show invite? That was a stolen photo off the internet, actually, of a squirrel that I found that was like this.
Okay.
Funny squirrel. And I was trying to take a picture at the backyard, but, there were no squirrels doing funny things. So that was our squirrel show, furry thing.
Release the squirrels.
Killer squirrel, like a killer bunny. Little,
Why is that?
yeah. Weird. All right, Mark Flinders says, greetings, gentlemen. And Ron Gray says, happy birthday, Joe. Of course, everybody knows Joe. Andrew Tomlinson, who is watching tonight, says, good evening, PG&B. Now, Andrew, you're going to want to tune in because we've got some big news for you, buddy. There's going to be something that's making you... In fact, in our show notes, it literally says Andrew Tomlinson's next camera, so you're going to want to stay tuned in. Christine, hello, good evening to you. And Jennifer, she says, I am here, may the Dixie show begin. Dixie is not here right now. She was here earlier, and she started chewing on my pencil, and I took it away from her. She got so angry, she freaked out, so I kicked her to the curb.
Threw her out the window.
She can't fly, either. like poodles. They just don't fly.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
WKRP in Cincinnati.
All right. Actually, I was thinking about UHF.
I missed something completely.
UHF with Weird Al, where he's throwing the puppies out the window.
Yeah, I remember that movie.
That was great. You have to see it.
Great
UHF.
movie.
Surprise!
Squirrel. Okay, so speaking of squirrel, let's get to our meat and potatoes of the show. But first, the survey is still on the Daytripper photo community. It's buried in there because I've pinned Mark's photo to the top of the page. I haven't had the survey pinned for a while because Mark won a recent photo challenge with his amazing image. But please search it out. Go to the survey, fill it out if you want to contribute to what we're doing here on the show. We're always trying to make this a better show, and splitting up into 3 separate concepts hopefully will be helpful, and I'd love to get everybody's feedback on what they think of that. So please check out the survey on the Daytripper community. Join the Daytripper photo community on Google+. If you haven't already and you're watching this on YouTube, then get over to the community. Go to Google+, search Daytripper Photo, ask to join the community. It's private, so we'll have to accept you. But once you're in, that's where the magic happens. It's a lot of fun. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, click like at the bottom there. Subscribe to our channel so you get updates whenever we have a new show. Share it with your friends. Tell the world because we're having a great time. And last but not least, if you're watching this and you can join in on the Q&A, which many people already have, do that. Let us know what you're thinking as we talk about new products and this new stuff that we're going to talk about for the show tonight. Give us your 2 cents. Let us know what you're all about because that's what a community is all about, folks, getting everybody's opinion and rolling it into our conversation. Yes, good, Andrew. I hope you stay connected. Sarah, hello to you. And, of course, hello, Heather. Thank you guys for watching so much. And let's see here. Don Komarechka is watching. He says, for your information, the metal band that hold the eraser on a pencil is called a ferrule. For some reason, cats find them delicious. I guess you're talking about that right there. Yeah. You're absolutely right. She must find it delicious because she freaks out whenever she sees a pencil. Leave it to Don to know what this metal band is called.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that.
It was actually invented by Mr. Farrell, 1832.
And for those of you playing the game at home, this is where you take your shot. Okay. Moving on to the discussion. So again, today we're talking about a few things. We've got some new products that have been released because, hey, Paul's watching. He's actually home on Wednesday. Could watch live. Awesome. Good for you, Paul. Yeah, so thank you for watching. But today we're talking about some new products because there's been some huge announcements this past week on new gear. We've all heard about the Nikon D5 and of course the D500, which I'm extremely anxious to try. But there's some new talk from a Canon camp, so this is where Gabriel might have a little bit of fun talking. We're going to talk about this new toy that Gabriel picked up, which I'm thinking probably will be returned, and the new Nikon 4K 360 camera. So we're going to get into that a little bit. We're going to talk about how Nikon has done the amazing thing and raised their prices by 18%. Actually, they are going to be raising prices very soon. We're going to talk about Andrew Tomlinson's next camera. We're going to get into some cool fun facts and some recent stuff that's going on in the world of photography. And then, Gabriel, you have some stuff you're going to talk about with Photoshop.
Yeah, it's just going to be a quick tutorial. There's this discussion in the community about the best way to share photos on social media. And traditionally in the past, the best way would be to create an export preset, export a JPEG to your desktop, and then share it from there. And I sort of accidentally stumbled upon an even easier way to do it where there is no export. And it's super easy, it's super fast. And so I'm just going to share my process for that. It should only take a couple of minutes. I think it can help streamline a lot of people's processes.
Cool. And you also are going to talk about the future of photography.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's going to kind of be rolled into there about how most of the people that I know that were resisting photos like the CC series have now succumbed to the dark side. And how Adobe just keeps on making it even more and more advantageous and more of a value by adding new features. They just added a new portfolio feature where you can have a really good looking portfolio website up in. I made mine in like 5 minutes, and it automatically synchronizes with Lightroom Mobile and Behance. Anyways, I'm going into the whole pitch right now, but that'll be coming up, and it's. I think a lot of people were grumbling that the CC is just a cash grab, but in all honesty, if you take all the things that they're including with your $10 subscription, it would come out to like $50 a month. So there's some really good value that they're adding in there, and it's just becoming more and more.
Absolutely agree with you, but we should first clear that up a little bit. $10 American, so it's actually like $59.99 Canadian per month.
Yes, with exchange rate, yes. Which you pay American dollars.
Well, they actually haven't.
Taxes.
Maybe it has gone up. I haven't noticed.
I'll wait and see what my next annual bill says, and then we'll worry about it. But let's get into the show a little bit. Jen says, why is Nikon raising their prices by 18%? Is it because they realize their camera equipment is too cheap?
It could be that. It could be the economy. I think partly it's because they feel like Canon really needs a larger user base. So they're trying to bring people over to our side.
Yeah, because Canon's such a tiny company in comparison
to Nikon. It's like a mom and pop shop.
That's true. Actually, somebody related it to me once where Nikon could fit in Canon's bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's a different kind of company, but it's hard to say. I mean, it may be a trend, and I know working at Henry's, I've seen some prices going up on a lot of things. Think tank bags. Just the other day, we had to reprice every think tank bag because everything went up in price. Some bags $60, $70 more expensive than they were. Has nothing to do with Henry's, guys. It has nothing to do with the retailer. It's all behind-the-scenes stuff, which I don't know enough about to comment, and I don't want to say the wrong thing. So
you just gotta wonder, like, the dollar's been down for a few months now, right? And all the prices are going up. I wonder how long when the dollar does stabilize and we get back on par. It's probably gonna be like a year and a half before they we can lower the prices of our goods. No, they're just gonna keep their reaping the rewards.
Well, since we're talking about it, why don't we get into this a little bit about this big change in financial world? So here's the article. If you go to dpreview.com, it says Nikon Japan announces price increases of up to 18% for lenses and flash units. So it may not be on the entire thing, but they got this from the Nikon Japan website, and there's a link here. If you understand Japanese, then this would make a lot of sense to you. I don't, so I'm just going to wait to see what happens in the store.
Right.
But it is something that is happening at the beginning of March. So my recommendation to anybody who's interested in picking up Nikon stuff or pre-ordering something, get your orders in before March, because if prices go up, and that would really suck for everybody.
Now, I don't know if you can say it, but I can. If you put something on pre-order and prices go up, usually the retailer will keep the previous price for you.
Yeah,
and it depends on the retailer, and
it also depends on how long it takes to get the product in. Because I've seen it before when Nikon first announced their Nikon D200 with the 18-200 lens. We waited about a year and a half before product was available for people, with back orders being filled and so on. So weird things have happened. And then, of course, when the tsunami hit Japan, delays on products. Gabriel, you ran into this issue.
Prices went up.
Yep.
Not only keep in mind too that when supplies become limited of a certain product, rentals fill up as well. So I always counted on the 7200 to be able to rent it for weddings. Then when the tsunami hit, that thing was booked like 6 months in advance, and I ended up having to just drop at that time I think it was like $3,200 or $2,800 and just buy the lens.
Yeah, and that's how they get you. I mean, not like they had a choice in this huge tsunami. That was god awful. Yeah. But when they have opportunities to make a dollar, businesses make a dollar.
Well, look at airlines. Fuel prices went down, airline tickets went up.
That makes sense.
Somehow, profit equals profit.
Peanuts became harder to open.
Oh, those pistachios are a pain. Anyway, let's get back into the next thing on the agenda, and this is something I think everybody's been waiting for. Who owns a Canon? Everybody's been chomping at the bit for this. The big news. You see Gabe's jumping up and down here. Yeah, look at that. The Canon 1DX Mark II has been announced, and some people are underwhelmed.
Yeah.
So, Gabe, you talked about this before.
I'm not a huge gearhead. I don't like. You're much better to speak about this because you're in retail and you memorize specs and stuff. Most of the time, once I buy something, I stop looking at the market. I've got a 7D and a 5D Mark III, which I just realized the other day, like my 5D Mark III is like 4 years old, right? So it's getting a little long in the tooth, and I am planning on picking up a new camera this year to make the new one my primary camera, the 5D Mark III, my fallback, because it's probably got close to 100,000 actuations on it, and it's probably time to go into early retirement. So there was the big news of the new Nikon, the D5. Was it D5X or D5?
No, D5 and the D500. The full frame was the D5.
Okay, so the D5, which apparently with the specs that they put out, really wowed a lot of people. And then if you take the 1DX Mark II in comparison to the D5, or even compared to just the normal 1DX, it seemed like more of an evolution, not a revolution. But I'm looking at the specs, the sensor format, the megapixels, the max resolution, the aspect ratios, the file formats, the bit depth. I mean, all the specs, the memory cards, the viewfinders, rear display, ISO range. Well, ISO range, there's some difference between the two, but when you put them next to each other, there's not a huge. I'm not saying there's no difference, but there's not a huge amount of difference between their capabilities.
Yeah, agreed.
And I like some of the features that they came up with the Canon. I like the fact that there's 4K video. I like the fact that you can go through in camera and capture stills in the camera from 4K video and export them as 8-megapixel stills. I like the fact that it's live touchscreen focusing. So you hold the camera, you say, okay, I want to focus there, and now I want to focus there. It doesn't have as many focal points. The ISO range on the Nikon goes up to 32 million, or 328 million, or whatever.
3.6 million.
Oh, okay. I see 3280000 here. So
okay, so here's my thought on
when
ISO.
Extended.
It's nice that you can have a camera that goes that high. We're never gonna use it.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. We're going to shoot at 3,200. We're going to go to 6,400. We're maybe going to go to 20,000.
This is how your picture will look. That's how it's going to look. It's going to look like that.
But the cool part about having the ability to go that high ISO, and I always compare this to, so for example, Gabriel, if you can hold 1,000 pounds and I give you 500 pounds, it's easy.
Right.
If Phil can hold 500 pounds and I give him 500 pounds, he's straining to do it.
Yeah.
So if a camera can go to 3.6 million, it doesn't mean you're going to shoot there. It just means the levels that you do shoot at, it's built for that better. Yeah. And it can handle it better. So that's my school of thought. And you know what, Gabriel, the bottom line is, and Phil, the bottom line is, and everybody watching, if you own Canon and you want to get a pro camera and you don't have a 1DX Mark I, this is the pro camera you'd end up with.
Yeah.
If you own Nikon and you had a D3 and you wanted to upgrade, but you didn't want to get now the D4S, you get the D5.
Yeah.
That's 14 frames per second at 20.2 megapixel for 107 for up to 170 raw photos.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous. And if you're shooting in JPEG with mirror lock up on, it's 16 frames per second, infinite.
It has a carbon fiber shutter.
Yeah,
which is nice because it makes it lighter, and the mechanism in this camera that actually moves the shutter is designed to reduce shake as the shutter is moving. Mm-hmm. So you'll get an even steadier image if it's on a tripod.
Yeah.
So this is the progression that Canon has taken their 1DX Mark II to. It's a great camera. It's going to do great work. People that own it are going to make the best images they can possibly make because it can do everything. But for somebody like Ross, who already has a 1DX, will he replace it to get 4K? Well, knowing Ross, he probably will. But he does a lot of video.
Yeah, and 4K is sort of the next...
1080.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the next... what was it? Star Trek. The next...
generation?
Adventure or
Guy in
something.
a red shirt?
No, no.
That's me.
Oh my God, I'm so bad with words today. I've been fighting for words all day. The Bold New Adventures. It's 4K, and there's more and more 4K content coming out, more and more 4K screens, and yeah.
So I have to say that something about this camera has me intrigued.
Mm-hmm.
And it is the design of the camera itself. Because if we look at the top of it, now it doesn't have a pop-up flash, because why would it? It's a Canon Pro Series. But that piece on the top of the camera looks weird. Thank you for pulling a picture up.
Sure.
That
Are you
piece
talking
looks
about
weird.
this right here?
Yes. Why is it there? Because
I would think that that's GPS.
It could be, but it looks like it might be removable, I guess. Like, it's on every other Canon, it's a nice rounded cap. I know they've broken up the lines with something that looks like maybe they could replace it. Maybe that's how they access the viewfinder prism. I don't know. But
a lot of times
it's intriguing. I want to know what that
happens,
does.
Like if you look at, okay, so my Nexus 6P, right? It's got this big window here,
Yep.
right? The problem with metal bodies is that antennas can't see outside of it. So this window
Yes.
is chock full of antennas. If you look at the back of the new iPhones, it's got a little line on the top and a little line on the bottom. Those are plastic bars, so antennas can see outside of the metal body. So if this entire body, and that's one reason why they've had a hard time putting Wi-Fi and things like that inside cameras, because they're all metal and they can't get the antenna out.
And so that's the plastic cap.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to drop your camera and it lands there, something's Wi-Fi or GPS or something is going to break, because that's just a little sort of antenna sticky outy area.
Mm-hmm. Okay, before we go any further, Andrew says the next frontier.
Yes, the next front. Thank you, Andrew. Oh my God.
There you go. And Don, I'm going to go to Don's comments because he's right, and this is why we go to Don's comments. He says that's the GPS, just like I thought it would be, at the top there. He says the high-end market with Canon and Nikon usually only get evolutionary improvements, not revolutionary, since the market for these cameras is already established. They do their jobs well, and now do them a little better. And of course, he's already got his on pre-order since 2 days before they were available, because that's how Don was. Literally, that's what he said. And he says the biggest difference for him is the shift to put the ADC, which is the analog to digital converter, into the sensor itself, which is where we will see a great increase in dynamic range. However, Sony already brought this feature to market. Canon is now playing catch-up to that. So, and it seems like Canon's playing a lot of catch-up these days, unfortunately.
But when you get somebody like Sony that, I went on Google Plus today, it's like Sony released a new camera. Well, of course they did. It's a Tuesday or a Wednesday. I mean, it's like they're releasing a new camera every 36 minutes. So, it's kind of like, a camera manufacturer that just releases a camera every 2 years, trying to keep up with Apple that releases one every year, or Android that releases one every 12 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. Sony does put out a lot. They actually just made some announcements today and yesterday with some new products, which we're going to get into next.
It's like new camera release Wednesday.
Yeah, right. I do want to go to Jennifer's comments. She goes, what's this, the new Canon equivalent to the D5, to Nikon? What is the comparable? And it is the D5. So these are their pro bodies, the big, huge suckers that are firing faster frames per second, getting better dynamic range, putting all the flagship features that they can possibly muster into, and from here it would trickle down to other cameras. They've improved the focusing a little bit. They've done some tweaks, as Don's already talked about, for the digital converter and other things as well. So that's pretty cool. And she says Mark and Hallie are going to be watching, which is great. They're just getting the kids to bed. And yes, Andrew also said it's the GPS antenna. Now here's the cool thing about this camera. It's not. I don't even think it's cool. That's the GPS, but it doesn't have the Wi-Fi. Very much for the reason that Gabriel mentioned. It's a solid metal chassis.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They don't have the Wi-Fi, but you have to spend $600 extra to get the Wi-Fi module.
And it clips onto the side, if I'm not mistaken.
But if you're
That's
spending
right.
$5,000, no, how much is it? It's $4,000.
It's less money than the 5D or the D5.
Okay.
It's $5,999 American.
Now, this is what I was so interested in the D5 about, and I'm just going to quickly go on a quick tangerine here. The D5 has Wi-Fi built in, but it has their new kind of Wi-Fi, which is actually Bluetooth as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pair Bluetooth, which gives you a one-time connection, and every time your phone is in range, you're just automatically connected, very much like Sirius Radio or whatever that's called in the Ford cars,
Right.
which I don't have, which would be very cool to have. So yeah, basically it just pairs to your device, so you don't have to resync it and open up an app and get into that whole mucky muck that you have to with current Wi-Fi systems.
Right.
Which is going to be a lot of fun stuff. So that's something that is in the D500 and in the D5. So I'm surprised that Canon isn't doing little things like that, because, hey, we may not use Wi-Fi, but I've used it on my camera, and I have the dongle right here to prove it.
Right.
Now, it's a very functional feature.
Yeah.
I kind of like it not being in the camera, because I feel that might help with the longevity. Mainly because if the Wi-Fi gets updated, as you mentioned, Nikon updated their Wi-Fi. Let's say it's built into a camera, you're stuck with the old Wi-Fi. But if it's a dongle, you can replace the dongle and not the camera.
Upgrade the module.
But if you're using Wi-Fi a lot, then you probably would buy a new camera. Just maybe.
Yeah. And that's been my biggest frustration is, okay, let's say I'm shooting with this. Yes, I'm shooting with a $6,000 camera, but essentially what I want to do on the field is have those pictures show up on my phone. Then I'm going to sync them with Lightroom Mobile there, and when I get back to my computer, the pictures are already going to be there waiting for me, right? And then I don't have to, and then I don't have to sit there and unload the card and do all the import dance.
But how much data does that take on your phone? Because your phone's syncing.
What I would do is I'd have it send the pictures wirelessly to my phone, and then when I get in the door, the
Wi-Fi
hooks up to the Wi-Fi. It transfers the pictures. I come in, make a cup of tea. By the time you sit down, it's all ready.
Okay. And that's definitely a time-saving feature, because plugging in and dumping pictures onto your computer, even with a fast card reader and a fast card, it still takes a very long time.
Yeah, well, it's like today, just for another quick squirrely tangerine, I was driving, they started out to roll up the rim, and the first cup that I got, I won a free coffee. Nice. And I'm like, all right, first roll, this is the only thing I will win this entire campaign, right? So I wanted to take it nice, I got my macro cam, my lens out, and took a picture of it, right? I'm like, okay, great. So now I've got a really good-looking picture on my camera, so I got to find a Starbucks. I got to sit down, connect to the Wi-Fi, take the card out, put it in my laptop, upload it to Lightroom. If it can just go straight to my phone, it's going to save me a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that's why I like Google services, because they sync so nicely.
Yeah.
But to get to the stuff that I think Andrew might want to be interested in, because the Canon 1DX Mark II isn't the only full-frame camera that's just been talked about or released. Andrew, guess what, buddy? Pentax is coming out with a full-frame camera. They're not really telling anybody about it. They're making it very discreet, and they're making it very, very hush-hush. And in order to really freak Andrew out, check it out, buddy. Here is the sneak peek of the Pentax full-frame camera. It's going to look very, very
different. Stealth bomber.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of like a 4x6 or like a medium format.
It looks like the old school little Hasselblads kind of looked.
Yep.
With more of a box kind of feel to it.
It's got a really cool tilting LCD on the back that can go diagonally and sideways and all this. And again, this is just a sneak peek. It's not official, but it sure is interesting to know that Pentax is jumping into the full frame market. And it's good to see. Now, my concern isn't that they're doing it. My concern is how is it going to be available? Because that's the big problem we have with Pentax is limited availability in store when you want to buy something.
And what's their lens selection like? Does their lens selection support full frame across the board, or
they're coming out with new lenses as well? They're talking about a 24-72-8 and
other
things as well. So
this could be a new strong move for the Pentax kind of Ricoh brand.
Hopefully. So that's something to look forward to, and I thought Andrew would get a kick out of that. Rich asks us, he says, do you feel Lightroom Mobile is a useful way to edit photos in the field? That's something I think we're going to get into when we get into that conversation later on. Jennifer says, Hallie and Mark are now watching on their TV, so they can't comment. Hi, guys. They want to know where Dixie is. Okay, so Dixie is currently not on my lap because she freaked out on my pencil earlier, so I kicked her to the curb. But here you go. Here's a Dixie moment for you, and enjoy it because that's probably the last one tonight.
That was the tilt shift ones, right?
Yeah, that was with the tilt shift. Yeah.
Which we had a great discussion about last week, so if you missed it, check it out on YouTube.
Yeah, definitely. Good point. It was fun. I enjoyed using it, and actually it was Jennifer that enticed me to get there and take some pictures of her. But she also asks us, on the note that we talked about earlier, do you have any recommendations on taking still frames from a video file and exporting them to a high-res photo, besides just screenshotting it? It may be a conversation that we have for another show, but Gabe, do you just have a quick answer to that?
Yeah, I've seen Peter Hurley actually experimented with one of the red cameras, one of the 4K red cameras, and he just had his model with the constant lights, and he just shot video and interacted with him like he normally did, and then went through the photos, went through the video later, and did extraction from there. You pretty much need 4K, because even at 4K, it's only an 8 meg file.
Mm-hmm.
You only get an 8 meg still out of a 4K video. So maybe 8K, which is coming around the corner pretty soon. That will be a 16 meg file, I think, if the numbers actually double. But you really want 4K. Anything smaller, it's not going to be usable for much. And there's something about he was saying that he enjoyed it. It was a neat experience, but there's something about just having your finger hammer on the shutter at that moment and capturing it, rather than scrubbing through a video file and trying to find the moment there.
Well, it certainly makes you have to have a little bit more skill.
Yeah, and it would probably feel a little bit more organic as well, a little bit more created as opposed to kind of found.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I don't know.
But,
I don't know how to explain what we got.
No, I totally get what you're saying. Absolutely, yeah. It's kind of like I made this photo rather than right there. I think that's the still that I want to use.
Mm-hmm.
But you do pretty much need to be using 4K to get anything widely usable.
Yeah. Jen also asks, she's heard rumors about a Sigma Art 2470. Have we heard anything about that? Actually, I was just talking to my rep from Gentech, who is the distributor for Sigma, and he mentioned nothing about that lens. So I asked him, though, one thing I really want Sigma to do is come out with a new sport version of the 70-200. F2.8? No, they haven't. They came out with a new version 2 with better stabilization, but they didn't come out with a sport.
Like a faster one. Oh, okay.
A weather-sealed, beefier one,
Okay. Now, Sigma's 24-70 is still a super, super great lens.
It does need some tweaking.
A little bit, but if we were comparing it to, let's say, an older version of the Canon 24-70, I would take the Sigma one. Partly because it would probably focus on the subject.
Actually, there's a really interesting promotion that we should talk about from Sigma right now. If you buy any current Sigma, I believe it's any contemporary sport or art series lens, you get the free back cap dongle for free, the USB updating dongle.
Oh, that's awesome, because that thing's like $250.
It last was about 70.
Okay, I thought
when
it was
first came in. When it first came in,
you were right. For a while.
It was about 150 or $200 or something like that. And then
but even still, it's a great tool, because what that allows you to do is basically reprogram that lens and update that lens's firmware and make it better as they figure out how to make it better.
Well, also, some cameras have trouble with certain lenses, with back focus or front focus or other issues. And if you can just plug that cap onto the back of a Sigma lens and update the firmware or change your focus front and back on your computer with proper tools, that's a huge, huge thing. So the fact that Sigma has this ability.
I love doing firmware upgrades because they always go so well. So then, when you do the firmware upgrade, you're at your next wedding shoot, and you hold it up, and all you see in the viewfinder is a blue screen of death because your lens is causing the camera to crash. It's all good.
I, knock on wood, have never experienced that.
Yeah, some people have issues and some people don't.
I think it just depends on how good you are with computers.
Something called Picnic, I believe, that you've talked about, Gabriel. Problem in chair, not in camera. What?
Problem in chair, not in computer.
And that gets more yoga ball.
Yeah, that's when he bounces on the ball.
Now, just to comment on what Jennifer's saying about what she wants to do with her kids, depends what you want to do with pictures. If you're making like an 8x10...
First, read what she's saying.
Oh, sorry. So Jennifer asks, I ask about the video photo thing because sometimes I want to video. Sometimes I want to video something my kids are doing, but also take a photo of it at the same time. And that falls back to her previous comment about getting stills out of video. And it really depends on what you want to do with that picture. Because if you, let's say, take a still out of a high definition video, you can still make it probably an 8x10 and have it look pretty okay. You can't really go larger than that. So if you're looking for something and you want to have a video of your kids doing something, but also a couple pictures for Facebook or a couple pictures for like a photo book or a collage, you're probably going to be fine. Going larger than that probably isn't going to work too well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Very good.
So it depends on end result.
And Andrew, yes, it does look a lot like the 645 medium format camera, but it's just full frame, which is pretty cool. Okay, now the last thing we're going to talk about for product is this thing that Gabriel picked up. Yes, you're back on. What are you checking?
No, I was just checking with the 5D Mark III. You can record a video and take stills. It freezes the video a little bit, but it will record the video, and then when you take a picture, it'll record stills at the same time.
And so there'll be a gap in your video, but you get a full still.
Yeah.
Don says the 1DX Mark II uses the motion JPEG format for 4K recording. With this format, it records each frame as a JPEG image. Other compression formats make this much more difficult.
That is awesome.
Wow. Yeah.
Motion JPEG.
I'm a little bit more in love.
That's cool. All right, so
I have been a huge fan of the emerging 360 video craze. I got all my friends' kids viewfinders, Google the viewfinders that were done in conjunction with Google. It's like Google Cardboard, but also, you remember the viewfinder that you had when you were a kid and you put a little disc in it and you hit the little plunger?
Yes.
Viewmaster.
So they made one of those.
Viewmaster, thank you.
Viewmaster, there you go.
My era right there, guys.
But you put your phone in it, and you can use it as a very upgrade Google Cardboard, but then they also have like interactive adventures that you can go on and stuff like that.
Really cool.
When I was listening to a couple photography podcasts, my God, I'm just fighting with words.
You are fighting the words. Wow.
I am fighting the words. And I'm losing. And so a few of them were talking about the Ricoh Theta S. It's a handheld 360-degree camera. And just as I was listening to a guy named Alex Lindsay talk about how he loves his, a post came up on Google Plus from Brian saying that they just got them in stock. So I had a bunch of cameras I didn't use anymore, and I said, how much would it, if I traded in these cameras, what would it end up costing me? The end result was something that I liked the sound of. So I went down, and he's showing it there. I've got it here, and picked it up. So
hold it up again. So that's the actual size.
Yeah, that's the here. If I put it next to a lighter.
Cool.
Next to a Nexus 6P, which is about the same size as the big iPhone.
Stop there. I don't want to know what you're going to hold it up to next. That's enough for reference. Thank you.
To Android. So it's small. It's lightweight. It's handheld. The functionality and the build quality of it is actually pretty good. It's got internal 8 gigabyte memory. I think the problem that I'm having with this is that I thought it would be great for video, and then I would take the occasional stills with it. What I realized very quickly after playing with it for a little bit is that it's a still camera that you can occasionally use for video. It's 1080p, which sounds fantastic because, hey, most TVs are 1080p. Until you think about the fact, and it took me a little while to grasp this fact, that a TV is 1080p and it's rectangular, and that's the resolution of that screen. Whereas with this, it's 1080p, but it's spread out over a 360-degree, capture area. So it's actually pretty much equivalent. If you go to YouTube, watch a high-definition YouTube on 1080p, and then go down to the little gear and select I think it's like 420 or 480 or something like that, and watch the same video on that resolution, and then you're going to see how the videos from this camera look when they're uploaded to YouTube. You can do the whole, grab the video, move it around. It's super cool. The stills from this are very, very, very nice. They're hard to share because there's not a lot of, like, YouTube supports 360, Facebook supports 360 video, but it's hard to find areas where you can share 360-degree pictures. It's a fun camera if you're out with your friends and you're just sharing with them, but what I was hoping for it to be was something that I could use to sell content to customers. And I didn't see enough use in the still functionality of it and enough quality in the video functionality of it for it to be something that would be commercially viable for me at this time.
And you made a really good point about this.
Yeah, so on the bottom, he's showing in the picture there, better than I'll show here, but I'm going to show this anyways. You've got all the ports. So you've got the charging port, you've got the HDMI out port, and then of course you've got the tripod mount stand, which is going to be there anyways. But the problem that I ran into with this is a lot, like the best, okay, so if you take a picture like this, right, it's 360 degrees. So you have everything from here, and then you have your entire huge elongated arm also in the photo. So really what you want to do is you want to put it down on a flat. You didn't hear that? You want to put it down on a flat surface like this, and you want to use the remote app, and you want to be, somewhere else remotely firing it. And the app is pretty cool, and you can view the footage from another room and fire it remotely and stuff like that. But if you're putting it anywhere on dirt, in, let's say you're at Reptilia and you're putting it in an atrium with turtles or something like that, just as a completely random example, when you pull it up, all those ports are going to be full of, like, sawdust and stuff. So I understand that they wanted to have it nice and clean looking, and it does look beautiful. But for something that you're going to be putting down on surfaces fairly often, you maybe don't want all the electronic ports to be on the bottom, or have like a flip over cap that can cap them and make them waterproof or something, or like a bottom that you can pull off or something.
Yeah. Now Sarah's watching and she says the exact same thing. She agrees with you. She's right there with you. Doesn't like the quality at all. So Sarah also picked one up from me. And when I told you guys when you bought it, I told you flat out, if you don't like it, bring it back. You have 2 weeks, and that's the beauty. That's why I like working at Henry's as much as I do. It's a company I can feel confident selling you something, and if it's not the right thing, we'll take it back as long as it's under $1,500, which this is. So both you and Sarah, I predict, are probably going to return it. But this now leads us to our next thing we're going to talk about, which is potentially something better.
Yes.
So go ahead, Gabe. Talk about this.
So the secret that in doing the research for this, Brian brought up the question, is there different ways that you can edit the footage so that it'll look better on YouTube? Is there different ways that you can, extract more quality out of it? And really, the problem is that it's 1080p. And in all the research that I did, they said in order to get the right resolution for 360-degree video, it's got to be 4K. And in doing the research for that, I ran across this one, the Nikon. Is it called the Key Mission 360?
I think so.
Okay. The Nikon Key Mission 360, which actually kind of looks pretty badass. It's 4K. Yeah, it's waterproof. It's 4K, which gives you the resolution that you want. Now, it is still just dual lens. Now, the problem that you find with dual lens is that it's subtle. It's more subtle sometimes than it is in others, but each lens takes a 180-degree video, but there is a stitch line. And one thing with the Ricoh Theta S is that I always thought that the stitch line would be right here, but there's times where I was holding the camera like this, walking down the road, and when I viewed the footage later, the stitch line is right here, like right on my face, even though I'm holding the camera completely still, so completely flush with me. So I was a little bit confused as to where the stitching would be. So that may be a problem that you run into with this Nikon one as well. Maybe they've solved it. But I love the fact that it's waterproof. I love the fact that it's 4K. Yeah,
It's something to look forward to. And
when
I spoke to my Nikon rep about this, which wasn't that long ago, he flat out said he has no clue when it's coming, when it's available, or how much it'll cost. So people are anticipating it, and it's just like anything. When you haven't used it, you can't make too much of an opinion about it. So that's why I'm very happy that the people that picked up the Theta are people that get it.
Mm-hmm.
They understand it may or may not work. They're going to give it a good opportunity to try it, and if it doesn't work, you know what? That's what we're here for. Fix it up, make it better.
Sad. Well, I need somebody to test the Nikon one for you. Let me know.
Well, actually, Ross, our friend Ross Chevalier, the photo video guy, is an actual Nikon tester, beta tester.
Oh, cool.
So when he gets this product, I'm sure we'll get a good review as to how good it is. I'm really looking forward for him getting the D500. That's what I want to play with, which also does 4K video.
Jennifer asks, besides real estate, what would a 360 camera be good for? And my primary thought with this camera would be wedding photography. So with I don't know if you've ever, go on your phone, no, don't do it on your computer, on your phone, go to YouTube and do a search for 360-degree footage. And what you'll notice is that when you have your phone in front of you and you're watching the footage, as you move your phone, the video moves as well. Now, they make, everybody's going to see my Superman pajamas, but they make...
Really? You just, really?
They make viewers. Now, this is the Google Cardboard. It's admittedly a $15 viewer, but they make higher-end ones that cost about $100. You put your phone in this, you put it in cardboard mode, and it creates an entire virtual reality experience that is actually like really, really convincing. And I've seen adults, you know, when they put this on and they look down, there's a shark swimming below them. They're like, whoa! You know, like it really freaks them out. So let's say you have a bride and groom. You've just shot their entire wedding ceremony in 360-degree footage. It's up by them, and as they're looking at their first kiss, they can literally turn their head around and see the entire audience clapping. Right? Or, you know, you put it up by the head table and they can watch themselves interacting with their guests and then turn their head and see the dance floor as if they're back in the evening. You know, I'm thinking weddings, but it could work for any special event.
Absolutely. So many opportunities to do stuff with that technology. It's fascinating.
Yeah. I think it'd be absolutely amazing. So I'm looking forward to when the technology catches up. There are really good ones out there now, but they're $2,000 to $6,000.
Yeah. Rich, he says he loves watching 360-degree videos on his Samsung Gear VR, surfing, skydiving, scuba diving, all kinds of
amazing.
Yeah, and so doing like adventurous things like that, sports, like motorcycle racing, anything happening in a large group, is where this type of thing's going to start coming out. So people are going to start being more, I think, in the moment than more sitting there and watching something. It's going to be more kind of being at the event, whatever's happening. And if you mix this 360-degree video with something like what is it called? When they put microphones where your ears are.
Microphones where your ears are.
Yeah, and it gives you a three-dimensional audio picture of what you're looking at.
Oh, cool. That is something they just added to Google Cardboard, where game developers and stuff can add that to games where, you know, if the sound comes from here, it hits this ear before this ear. And so makes things a lot more realistic.
Yeah, and it's different than just having surround sound, as it's spaced out to actually match your ears. So if you were to close your eyes and hear sounds, you would be hearing it as if it was in the room with you, as opposed to it's coming from that direction.
So in a couple of years, when we're watching the All-Star game or something like that, we will literally have the best seat in the house because the camera will be on, you know, Yager, because he'll still be playing in 50 years, and, you know, all that.
I don't think 50 years away. I think this is more 6 years away, maybe 5.
Oh,
it's cool.
Yeah.
Sarah suggested this other product here. This is the Sphericam. I think Gabriel were mentioning something about this.
This is one that I ran across as well. I'm super excited, but it's $2,000 American.
Ouch. So lots of cool things on the horizon, though, and I'm sure we'll talk about them on a future show as they become available.
Absolutely.
Cool stuff. All right, so let's go on to the rest of our banter. Hey, they found a new planet in the solar system.
Quite possibly.
Very possibly. Now, they haven't seen it, but they have sensed it by how it's making other things in its environment react. Now, it's very, very interesting, and Gabe has a really funny point. I don't know if it's funny, but it's a really cool point about it, and he's going to talk about that in a second. But first of all, here is the Caltech website where they're talking about this. Caltech researchers find evidence of real ninth planet, which is 10 times the mass of Earth, and orbits about 20 times farther from the Sun than does Neptune, which orbits the Sun at an average of 2.8 billion miles. In fact, it'll take this new planet 10,000 to 20,000 years just to make one full orbit around the Sun.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I think, Pluto takes 1,000 years, I think.
But Pluto, there's debate on whether it's a real planet or not.
Well, it's a dwarf planet, and it's an elliptical orbit, I believe. It's more elongated,
sometimes
if I remember
closer,
correctly.
Sometimes it's further, yeah.
So,
where this one is a little bit more. Now, if I remember correctly, this one isn't quite on the same plane as the rest of our planets, where our planets aren't completely flat away from us, but they're relatively similar, if I'm not mistaken. I could be completely incorrect. And this one is just way off on like a weird angle.
Well, I don't know when we're actually going to see it, if we're going to see it or whatever. But I love Gabriel's thought. How did you twist this around?
Well, okay, so I know there's going to be some viewers that are going to get.
Hey, this is a banter show. Doesn't matter. You're allowed to.
So I'll try and keep this segment short because I know it's nothing to do with photography. But I just think that Zodiac and all this horoscope stuff is such a big pile of hooey. And if you woke up in the morning and you check the horoscopes in the newspaper because it's fun, and that's fine. But I know people that base their lives around this stuff, and it's not only proven not to be true, it's not proven to not. It's phooey. Anyway, I got that thing mixed up.
It's just that astrology sounds so much like astronomy.
Yeah, well, but all the horoscope and everything like that. So, if there is another planet in our solar system, right? Okay, so first of all, from the beginning of the horoscope thing, the planets have shifted their positions so drastically that there should be a 13th horoscope sign, and nobody takes that in consideration. But now, if there is another planet, I mean,
isn't there a new horoscope sign?
Yeah, well, they've shifted the dates around.
Didn't they just add it?
I'm no longer a Cancer, even though I'm a Cancer.
Yeah, and most people don't, recognize it because it does. If you take that into equation, then when does everybody else's things change? And people that they were in a Mercury rising their whole life now find out they're in a Taurus rising, and oh my God, that makes so much sense. I'm offending so many people right now, but if it turns out there is another planet in our solar system, I mean that just knocks everything completely out of whack. So
it's interesting.
That's in the case of it being an actual planet. Now, if it turns out that it's actually just a Dyson sphere, then different direction.
If it's a Dyson sphere, I will.
That would be awesome. I'm just gonna say that would be awesome.
So awesome.
But they're gonna go from vacuums to massive planets. It's just amazing, that jump.
Vacuum planets, yeah, that's what I was wondering. How's a Dyson sphere? Weird. And Andrew would like to know, is phooey the official technical term?
No, woo is. If you do a Google search for woo, you'll come up with horoscopes, homeopathy, aromatherapy, and all that woo that is, the scams.
You know what? I will say that aromatherapy does work. When someone comes close to where I am and they're wearing, like, kind of old people perfume and a lot of it, I just instantly get a headache. It's amazing, the connection.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's just like when I go to work and I have to walk by Joseph's jacket. I feel like throwing up instantly, and I have to use my inhaler. It's what happens.
Yeah. I'm a certified reflexologist. I'm a certified reflexologist. I got my certificate when I was younger, and I had this debate with her the other day, and she's like, "Oh, are you telling me that reflexology doesn't work? Because I've seen my clients leave feeling so much better." I'm like, you put somebody in a dimly lit room that smells nice with good music and massage them for an hour, anybody is going to feel better, especially in this day and age where people don't have 30 seconds to sit down and feel relaxed. That's why we feel better when we come out of the gym. That's why we feel better when we come out of the pool. right? You give somebody a chance to relax and not do something that's stressful, they're going to feel better after, and I think all that stuff works to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
Next topic. Sorry.
Next topic.
Okay. Degrees in murderology and murderomany.
All right, Dex. Okay, so next thing that we're going to talk about is some pretty cool stuff. First of all, Nikon had to officially apologize because a contest winner that won a photo for through the banister with the plane that was badly photoshopped in the background apparently won a photo contest from Nikon, and the poor guy, the guy that took the photo, and Nikon, they've both had to make apologies. So first of all, just to give the world an idea what we're talking about, here's the story on dpreview.com. The plane was in the right place at the right time, I guess, and this photo. Yeah. So the story behind this is the person who took the photo thought it was, I'm putting quotation marks in the air, a joke, and was just having fun with apps on his phone, just quickly photoshopping what he thought was an interesting image and posted it to Instagram, like many of us do, with composited photos from different things. So the plane was a composite from this other photo that he took was a composite, and when he posted to Instagram, it got some buzz, and he thought, hey, this is kind of cool. I'm getting some reaction, so hey, let's post this to this photo contest for Nikon, and sure enough, he won, and the world went crazy. If you bump up the exposure a little bit, which this story here isn't showing us, you can actually
an obvious Photoshop job.
Yeah, it's got a white box around the plane, like a cut and paste box.
So both the person who shot the photo and Nikon have issued a formal apology and blah, blah, blah. I just thought it was a funny story to talk about. And yes, Jen says, ha, 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 the guy on Instagram said he just got lucky, then backtracked huge when people busted him. And that's why I was making the quotes that you didn't see. And it's exactly what I think it was. I mean, here's a guy who thought he made a great photo. He kind of pulled the wool over somebody's eyes and then got caught and is like, okay, I'm sorry, it was just a joke.
Well, the more confusing part is it's a remake of another picture that he has on Instagram.
Well, it is the picture that he had on Instagram.
He's got two of them. So he posted one about a year before. And remade it. It was the story. I got this story out of the BBC as opposed to the DP review or anything. It got, I guess, big enough that it was showing up there, which was really weird. And I will say that it was it the Philippines branch of Nikon? One of them. But yeah, it wasn't like Nikon. It was Nikon Philippines or
Japan
something.
or something, right?
Yeah. And but still, it's amazing how no vetting goes through on this, where it's just like, oh, this looks like a pretty picture. Let's not look at it closer.
Let's just say that's the quality control at Nikon.
Yeah.
This
they can't see Photoshop.
Shots fired.
All right, on to the next topic, and this is a little bit more inspirational from a photographer. There's a gentleman, let's see here, who is going blind, and Stephen Era is his name. He was given, in 1979, he was given the devastating news by his eye doctor that he'd be blind within 20 years. So this gentleman, I love it because I'm a huge fan of light painting. He starts to see the world in a different way. So I'm going to do a screen share here. And this is kind of like, and this is the article, again, this is Shutterbug that did this article here that we're looking at. A photographer faces blindness, continues to create beautiful images through light painting. So he's kind of seeing the world narrower and narrower as his days go on. So he starts to do this really cool light painting. This is a video, it's not going to render well, but you can see some of the images that he's making. People sit still for him, and he uses flashlights and light paints all around them. And it's just a fascinating, inspirational story about somebody who doesn't let vision, which is the most important thing that we feel we have as photographers, stop him from creating his art. And it's very inspirational, and I really recommend people look into this story. Again, his name is Stephen Era, E-R-R-A. You can see that right here on my screen share. Please check it out and look into this photographer. I think his work is really interesting, and the fact that he uses an old camera doesn't deter him. Sorry, D90. I just saw it in the video. But inspirational stuff, and this is what I love about photography, is when people are so artistic and they need to get that art out that they don't even let blindness hinder what they're going through. Any thoughts on that, guys?
I think it's awesome, and I like that he's seeing a new way to take pictures when he's losing his ability to see. I think it's just a really kind of inspiring story. Take something bad and turn it into something good.
Yep. Gabe, anything to say on that?
No, I think that's that's cool.
Okay, cool. That's just terrible.
The behind-the-scenes stuff is going on here.
Yeah, that's why I kind of went to you there. Yes, the Nikon dig does sting a little bit, Mark. You're absolutely right. Phil, there's a request from Jen. So maybe you can answer this request.
She's Winnie's currently napping upstairs, so if she decides she wants to venture down.
Until she sees a cat. Okay, here's Gina. Okay, here's Gina. There you go. Put her on my shoulder.
That's very, very inappropriate and wrong. Right there.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of inappropriate and wrong, Gabriel, it's your turn.
All the time.
You've got something to talk about Photoshop and stuff, so let's get into that.
There was actually, I just want to say, there was one picture put to the community for your furry family members of
Furry friends,
furry friends. Furry family. Yeah, by Paul, who was the ashes of
Einstein.
Cat or dog. Yeah, Einstein. I'm guessing cat, dog, or bird and something. Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. I was actually thinking about doing, because Gina was, my favorite cat I've ever had. And I do still, I joke around about it, but I do still keep her ashes on my desk and stuff all the time. And it's nice to take pictures of, our furry friends that are still with us, but also remember, the ones that aren't. So, thanks, Paul.
And Paul, I give you a lot of credit for that. I know how emotional you are when it comes to Einstein, and we've talked about this ourselves at Camera Club and so on. I feel for you. And I know the people that know you and know how close you were to Einstein feel for you, and I think it was very brave for you to put that photo up for our photo
Was Einstein
challenge.
a dog?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
His best friend.
Cool.
Okay, so...
outside a dog, a book is a man's best friend. Inside a dog, it's too dark to read.
That's some tauntaun stuff you're talking about.
Your own tauntaun.
That's just not right at all. That's just not right.
That's okay.
All right, Gabe. Why don't you quickly get into, or not so quickly? We're pretty much at time, but you can take some time and go through the stuff you want to talk about. I just have to dip for a quick second. I'll be right back.
Okay. Quick as gone, squirrel.
So another thing about astrology now.
And psychics.
Don't even get me started. No, okay. So there was a question put up to the board about the best way to export photos for sharing on social media. And I can't remember who asked it, but they were saying that they don't want to junk up their computer with a bunch of JPEGs. And I have presets set up for. Actually, I'm going to share my screen here. Lightroom share. So I have presets set up for a lot of sharing. When I right-click on one of my photos, I go export, Bousquet photography, full quality, Google Photos, Instagram, web ready. But what I ran into almost by accident is. With Lightroom Mobile, if you subscribe to Photoshop CC, you can create collections that automatically synchronize with your Lightroom Mobile on your phone. So here's some of my collections here, and you'll see that I have one collection called To Instagram. And basically, whenever I'm going through my photos, and I see a photo that I would like to at some point share on Instagram. Because usually I try and have like 30 or 40 photos in there, because a lot of times I'm on the road and I try and share one picture a day, and I don't always have the time to sit down and find that picture, so I'll just throw a bunch of pictures up and then choose from them. So when I find a photo that I think at some point I may want to share on Instagram or Facebook or Google+, I just basically, I'm in my 2016 folder. We went to Reptilia the other day. I take a photo that I like and I just drag it over to Instagram. So see that number there turned to 36, and if I open it up, it has all the photos that I've chosen in chronological order, and that photo is now there. So if I cancel my screen sharing and take my camera, please just forgive my my camera angles for a second here. And I launch my Lightroom mobile, and I go to my to Instagram album. That picture is already there, so it's already synchronized with my Lightroom mobile. And then if I just long press and hold on it, you'll see the option menu there comes up, share. You tap on share, and you can choose. Oops. Demo fail. Oh no! Okay, it did work. I just wasn't patient enough. Choose share, and then you can share on Instagram, Google Plus, Facebook, and the quality is the person that was asking the question was saying that they find that the quality, if you export them and then upload them, sometimes isn't that great, or if you cross post from one place to another, the quality isn't always that great. And the quality with this, just sending it directly out from Lightroom Mobile, the quality is fantastic. And then when you're done, long press on the photo, click on remove, say yes, I want to remove it from this gallery, so that way you make sure that you don't post the same photo twice. And when I go back to my to Instagram, hasn't quite happened yet, but in a second that picture will disappear from there. Let me just turn my camera back around and do my screen share, even though I probably don't need to at this point. And it's a fantastic way of sharing to all different types of social media without having to export JPEGs and have to create, you can see there, it's gone now. So the thing I like about this is when I'm ready to export something, because Lightroom Mobile has many of the editing capabilities of Lightroom, you can just do some final touches, some final sharpening, some final vignetting. I opened up this one the other day and just did some tweaking on it, and all the tweaking that you do in Lightroom, you can undo in Lightroom Mobile, and all the tweaking that you do in Lightroom, it's non-destructive editing. So I can sit here and I can look at this photo that I did some editing on the other day and go to my history panel. I did all the editing on my phone, and I can go, you know what? Maybe I like the way that it was. I don't want to do. I want to undo that editing that I did on my phone and turn it back to this picture, right? Every single step is synchronized perfectly from phone to computer and from computer to phone.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That is really cool.
Yeah, it's really, Lightroom Mobile is really one of these unsung heroes that I think more and more people are going to start realizing the power and the awesomeness of it. Yes, the editing capabilities take a little bit of getting used to, because it's not like Snapseed, where you can just drag up and down, find what you want, and go left and right. Because it has a little bit more capabilities,
it's more involved.
It's more involved, and it doesn't. Snapseed has the healing brush, which I really like, which Lightroom Mobile doesn't. But
it's just like anything. You find a tool that works for what you need and use it for what it's built for. And
exactly.
I have Snapseed and I have Lightroom Mobile, and I use each for different things.
Exactly. And you can edit a photo in Snapseed and have it update in Lightroom Mobile, and then sync with your computer at home.
You've got a question from Jen. She asks, Gabe, does Lightroom Mobile work if you use multiple catalogs?
Yes, absolutely. So it doesn't work. Oh, sorry, does it work with multiple catalogs? No. I think you would. Somebody actually asked this to an Adobe rep the other day on a podcast, and I'm trying to remember what they mentioned. What they were saying is you would have to select a specific catalog that would have your collections shared out to, but then they also brought up the mindset behind having multiple catalogs, where in the past, yes, in the early days of Lightroom, it probably was necessary, but I have 136,351 photos in my catalog, and it's lightning fast. So they were saying that the need for having separate catalogs is just not necessary anymore. So they're encouraging people to just sort of use one catalog instead of multiple small ones.
Very cool. And Jen, to answer your question, I did not bring Dixie back because she's asleep on the chair downstairs.
Mm.
I just went back down to see her, and she woke up and saw me, but I didn't have the heart to pick her up and move her. So she deserves her beauty rest. Yeah. Okay, so Gabe, there was something else that you wanted to talk about, and that was the. Hang on a second. Hang on.
Should I just do it like on the next Banter show? Because we're kind of already 10 minutes over.
The future. Sure. Okay. Hang on. Trying to play around with the microphone to get my best 50s announcer's voice.
I just say look up Adobe Profile. If you're a CC subscriber, you get a really easy to create, easy to update, good-looking website that really has a lot of similarities with Squarespace. Already included in your monthly profile, and they're adding. You get a free stock bundle. You get a lot of free stuff with your CC subscription, and they're making it more and more valuable and just adding more and more value to it.
Cool.
All right.
And Lightroom, you can only get Lightroom Mobile, the synchronization stuff benefits if you're on the CC plan.
Okay.
And Daytripper Photo makes no money from people registering for this plan. So if we're talking about it, we just like it.
Yeah.
And I have to say that I think it's about time that I upgrade my Photoshop and Lightroom. And I'm really, really thinking of going to this Creative Cloud system now because I like the idea of having everything accessible pretty much all the time and having a easy to update site. Because last time I had a photography site, I had to basically design the thing and then put all the pictures in the right place, and it was a bit of a pain. And if it's easier and I can do it faster in less time, which I guess is what faster means, I'd be 100% behind that.
Cool.
Yeah, and you can synchronize with Lightroom Mobile, you can synchronize with Behance, and the thing that I love about the Lightroom Mobile is I'll shoot a wedding, I'll put it on my computer, I'll synchronize it, and then I'll do a lot of my culling for my photos on my iPad, and everything that I do on my iPad automatically updates on my computer and my phone. Any flagging that you do, any rating that you do, anything like that. And then sometimes I'll be sitting, you go downtown Toronto, it can be a 10-minute lineup in Starbucks, and I'll go through and I'll call, through 50 photos or something while waiting in line. I don't usually do wedding pictures there because I want to see them larger, but let's say, we went to Reptilia, I took 260 pictures. I really only want to share my best.
Oh, so that was
50.
you that went to Reptilia and sat the Theta camera down in the sawdust. Oh.
No, I saw somebody else do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, that's probably not a good idea, bro.
Okay.
Yeah. You think they would have like a plastic foot so it'd be harder for it to fall over, but maybe they're just opening the market up for accessories.
Accessories, yeah.
That's it. Yeah. All right, well, that was cool. Well, that was a fun show, and hopefully people that watched tonight enjoyed the banter, enjoyed different conversation. If you didn't, then sorry. We're hopefully going to do at least one more of these. Let us know what you think.
Let us know. Yeah.
Post it to the community what you think of tonight's show, and hopefully you enjoyed it. And we'll definitely know you liked the show if you clicked like on the YouTube channel. So please, guys, keep in touch with us. Jen, one last comment here. If I have Lightroom Mobile on my home desktop, can I use Lightroom Mobile? Oh, sorry. If I have Lightroom on my home desktop, can I use Lightroom Mobile on my laptop if I'm at a different location or something, or is it only on cell phones or tablets?
Okay, here, I'm just going to really quickly do this. So what you do with that is you go to the Lightroom Mobile website, which is in itself pretty awesome. You can upload photos to it, you can create collections, you can synchronize collections, you can share collections right from there. So here's the Reptilia collection that I had in my Lightroom Mobile. Any changes that I make to here are automatically updated everywhere. You can, if I go back to the welcome screen, basically you just bring up your Mahamana. There we go. So let's say, this is a card from my camera. You select the files that you want to upload, just drag them over this area, It'll upload them all. You can add them to a collection. And if you do that, when you get back to that computer, that collection will already be on your home Lightroom and synchronized. You can share collections from here. It's pretty freaking cool.
So does your home computer need to be on while this is happening?
No, not at all. I always leave my computer off when I'm gone for the day, and when you come home and you launch Lightroom, all the synchronizing just happens there.
So if you keep your pictures on, let's say, like an external hard drive, and your computer's turned off, you can still have everything synced to it, because when you turn it on and you load Lightroom, it'll just dump them where they need to go.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's really, they're coming into, this century, and I think that they're understanding what people want. I want smart collections to be synchronized on mobile, but they're not there yet. And I would like to have full Lightroom running on my laptop and full Lightroom running on my desktop, and have them synchronized, not Lightroom mobile, but for now where it is, it's very capable, and I'm happy with where they are at this point.
And it's a good sign of where things are going.
Yeah, it's nice to see them making these strides, because you know that on their big whiteboard in their office, it's not just end here. They have a 5-year plan, and it's going to get them to where we want them to be.
Well, and Creative Cloud is what replaced Creative Suite, in a sense, because Creative Suite 6 is technically Creative Cloud.
Right.
And so this would be, I imagine, a continuous, never-ending update, where they're taking you away from, you're buying this version of software, next year we're coming out with a new version, and then a new version after that. This is the software. When we give you a new version, you just get it. And then you go to Twitter and say you don't like it, and we backtrack and we fix it, and we continue going forward.
Yeah, and they have been responsive. If they change that import dialog on a version where you have to go out and buy the box in the store or download it from the website, you'd be stuck with that import dialog until they release a new version. But because it's CC, and I personally like the new import window, and I wish they had left you with an option to stay with the new one or go back to the old one, because I like the new one. But if there's enough of a backlash, they can say, okay, cool, give us a couple of weeks, we'll roll the old one out again.
Awesome. Just so everybody's clear, the $10 or whatever you pay a month is for Photoshop and Lightroom, not the entire Creative Suite.
Well, no, yes, but for the average, and I think they have it as their photographer kind of bundle, that's really all you need.
Yeah, it's all everybody
If you want to design things like marketing pieces, pamphlets, stuff like that, you could use Illustrator, but if you're savvy in Photoshop, you can do many, many, many things.
Yeah, and I even I made a 5-minute video last night with transitions and sound effects and background music, and I did the whole thing in Photoshop.
It's pretty awesome what you can do. Now, there's obviously some people
Photoshop is for pictures.
Not anymore. Actually, I went to a whole training, and RC Concepcion gave a whole presentation on how to use Photoshop to do video, so it was really cool. Rich asks, what was the name of the online gallery feature?
Just do a Google search for Lightroom Web. I think it's just Lightroom Web. There you go. So it's lightroom.adobe.com.
Yeah, I think it's their Adobe Portfolio service.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I thought you meant about the Lightroom that I was showing the Lightroom mobile on the web. Yeah, what Phil said.
Okay. Sorry, I just got an email from somebody that's watching the show. So, okay, and Andrew says it'll be nice when Adobe will work with the catalog on a network drive, so it's all in one place regardless of desktop or laptop.
Yeah, I mean, I know people that keep their catalog on a Dropbox file, so they access the same catalog on their laptop, on their computer, and it works fantastic until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, I make lots of money because I gotta go in and try and recover the catalog and recover, when things go bad with that and the synchronization and stuff, it's catastrophic. So I recommend staying away from that.
And I like having my pictures in a physical location on imaginary medium. which is how I view computers.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's physically here, but it's magic as it's inside the box.
Yeah. Oh, it's in the computer.
Zoolander, yay!
I can't wait.
Daytripper 160, unofficially brought to you by Zoolander 2.
Yeah, right. Might as well be. Okay, so guys, don't forget that our current photo challenge is Furry Friends. We're doing our photo review for that next week on the next Wednesday's show, which would be awesome. That'll be on the 10th of February, so tune in to watch the photo review for Furry Friends. Now, guys, don't forget, Furry Friends doesn't have to be your pets. It could be squirrels in the backyard. It could be reptilian things. Fuzzy relatives. It could be, Uncle Lester who looks like a hedgehog or something. You never know.
And I got to say that the pictures that have been coming so far have been outstanding, and there's such a variety of different animals and different kind of styles of taking, a picture of your fuzzy loved one, and I think it's awesome, and I'm not sure how we're gonna fit them into next week, but
well, there's quite a few, and hopefully the show will go smoothly, and we'll get to all the main points of each. But we have an interesting thing that we've been working on, a bigger picture project thing that we've been talking about tonight, which we're going to announce a little bit more formally on next week's show. So there's going to be a longer-term photo project as well as the weekly photo challenges that we're talking about. The whole idea, again, guys, is just to get people shooting and making new photos and being creative and sharing them with the community. So tune in next week to watch our photo review. Thank you, everybody, for watching this week. I'm very impressed. Our viewership actually stayed the same throughout the entire show. So
that's good.
It looks like this is a decent show. Hopefully everybody enjoyed it, and I enjoyed it. We all enjoyed it.
I might be biased though.
Yeah, we like to banter, so we enjoy banter. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here this week. It was awesome, fun. You guys did great.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, and Gabriel, you as well. And to everybody watching, thank you. We'll see you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.